Hello. So I know there's a mess in the background. Like that is not a good background at all. But that's what we have to work with, and I'm so sorry about that. I promise it's gonna be better on the next one. I hope so. Anyways, um, if you don't know me, my name's Austin Blue. But in reality, my name is Andre. Right now, I am at 20 years of age, but in 2 days, I will be 21. Um, there's this thing that I do, like almost yearly, in which I try to compare my life and the progress I've made, like from one year to the other. This video actually sort of never existed. Um, Yearly, I pretend that I am recording something. Yearly, I pretend that I am speaking to someone. But in reality, it just lives in my head. Like, I've never sit down and just actually recorded this video. And you would maybe think this is weird, and it sure is. Like, I'm not taking the credit out of you. This is weird. But it's something that I've been doing for like 4 to 5 years. And I'm not gonna lie, this video actually existed for some time. I do remember recording this and actually posting it onto YouTube, into YouTube, I guess, when I was 16 years old and 17 years old. I do remember this. And until I was 18 years old, these videos actually existed and were posted. But do I remember where? Not at all. Do I remember what I said in this video? Not a single word. So yeah, the actual the actuality, the reality of this situation is that this is probably the first video from this imaginary series that I created in my head, and that maybe never will never go live. But well, as I said before, in 2 days I will be 21 years of age, which means that I will be able to drink in the U.S., and it's something I've been bragging about for this past week. And it's not like I have any plans to go to the U.S. anytime soon. I pretty much despise the United States of America at this point, but it's just an interesting fact. Uh, Anyways, so I am not from the US, as you probably have guessed from my accent. And if you know a little bit about accents, you will probably guess that this is much of a Latin accent, which takes some of the possibilities of my whereabouts. Am I right? So, well, I'm gonna talk about this later in the video. Not exactly right now, not exactly like in the next 3 minutes, but maybe. I don't know. So, the thing with this video is um, measuring how far have I went from one year to the other. What has changed? What have I done differently? What do I perceive as a difference in my mindset, in my life, in my reality? That's basically the core of the video. Is it easy to do? Not at all. Like I normally do this in a lot of sets. How can I explain this? So for the past 4 years, every time that I was just, in a boring situation, I would talk to myself about this video, and what do I perceive is a change. Am I gonna do this now? Not at all. Like, I don't have a lot of takes to do. I don't have a lot of time either, and I don't have quality at all. Like, any sort of quality to do this. Actually, let me see this. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. So yeah, um, what can I say, really? Because one of the things that is really important for this video is that it is not scripted. I also don't take any pauses. Like, I remember my first video was like 20 minutes only, and the other ones were like an hour long. I don't think I'm gonna take this much time to do this video. But well, the first thing that I can describe to you is that my accent has gone bad. Like, from one year to the other, I don't think there's much difference, but if we're taking like a step further and just, looking back 5 years, my accent has just became the most grotesque thing for my 5 years ago self. Oh my god, do you see, like, not only my accent but my grammar is just ruined. And the thing is, I used to speak a lot of English, and right now I'm letting it just get rusted and lost, basically. I'm losing my vocab, I'm losing my grammar, I'm losing my accent. And it was something that I was very proud of. Like, I was proud to have, like, some sort of an Australian slash, I guess, firstly, I was really into the Australian accent, and I used to, try to mimic that as much as possible. But it's really hard to find Aussie content online, like, really. So I used to just consume a lot of Americans and Canadians. So most of my accent just became pretty regular. But as time passed and my English became a bit more rusty, if we can say that, I tend to go to a more like English accent. Does that work? Of course not. Like, there are some things that I pronounce that are pretty much American, and there are other things that I pronounce that are sort of English, but yeah, my accent is ruined, really, and my English as well. Like, it's pretty broken. Sometimes I just feel like my I can't go with the flow anymore. Like, it's something I was really proud of as well. Like, to ramble and ramble about a lot of stuff, and not get lost in what I'm speaking, like knowing exactly which words I can use to describe the exact feeling. And most of that is related to the fact that I used to ramble a lot about myself in English for myself only. So when I started learning English, the thing that I would do the most is talk to myself, because I thought it was like an scapegoat from um, my problems, really. Like, if I were to ramble about myself in my native language, everyone around me would understand. But since we are from a fairly poor family, and I live in a country where most of people do not speak English, I could just safely talk about my problems in English, and no one would have a clue of what I'm talking about. And that was a pretty liberating thing. Like, I felt the freedom of speaking English, and that's what made me like so obsessed about the language and everything. I nowadays think I would be better off like learning other languages, but I can't have myself to sit down on a chair and just learn a full language. Like, I just tend to just like to learn little pieces and bites of languages. Like I do know some Spanish, I do know some French, I do know some Italian, I do know some Norwegian, I even know some Chinese, but am I able to speak those things? No. I also do know a bit of Korean, but well, am I able to speak those languages? No. Can I understand things from these languages? Except from the Latin languages, Korean I can understand a bit more, but Chinese I have no clue, really. So yeah, that's probably one thing that just changed for me. I'm sorry, I'm just checking my phone because my mom is texting me. So yeah, uh, it's something that has changed. My interest in learning languages just sort of disappeared, and also my willingness into learning those languages just sort of disappeared. I still have a bunch of books about those languages, and I can't have myself to sit on the chair and just learn it, really. I did learn Latin, but that's because of my degree, and it's not necessary for my degree in any means, but I guess something that has never changed but actually changed a lot in those years is that I do have phases in my life where I just get obsessed about stuff, like really obsessed about stuff. And when I started my law degree, I just became obsessed with the Roman law. Really, like I live in a country where we use civil law, so every norm that we use in our system is written, and it has its roots in the Roman Empire, really, like, and the Roman law is one of the most evolved ones, really. The one of the most evolved systems in law. And I became obsessed about it. And one of the things that is required for you to understand a bunch of concepts in in the Roman law is Latin. Is it remotely related to what I am using right now as a legal intern? Not at all. Like, I don't use Latin in any part of my work. Do I use it in my degree nowadays? Not at all. But still is an interesting thing to have, and I do enjoy, sometimes just bragging about it, really. I guess things become an interest in my life, and then I just brag about it later when I am sort of a self-made expert. Am I saying I'm an expert in Latin? Not at all. Like, I can remotely say stuff in Latin. I can understand, like read things and translate them very poorly, but people find the most the most random things like so impressive, really. Like, how many people do you know that actually had the guts to learn Latin and, know anything about it? So people tend to get pretty impressed, and they just put you on that pedestal, really. You don't really need to brag about things like people brag about it for yourself, to yourself. I don't know. Grammar, poor. Okay. So I think about languages, I just made my point. Another thing that I can pinpoint right now from my memory is reading. When I was like 16, 17, 18 years old, like I would get so many books, like get to read so many books. I do have a pretty huge collection, as you're seeing, like a third of my personal library. I do have around 450 books, and I'm still counting. Like, I have my whole life to collect those books, really. So, yeah, I'm still counting on that. But right now, as of today, I have around 450 books. At the beginning of this year, I categorized all of my books and just put them in an app called Libib, where you can visually see all of the books that I own. It was a huge 3 day job that I got to do when I was bored, and it was pretty interesting. And I just love my personal library, really. It's one of the things that I'm still proud of to this day. So, yeah. But as I was saying, like, I used to get really proud of, just reading a bunch. And nowadays, I feel like with the routine that I have, it's really hard to fit that much reading. It's something that I'm trying to pick up back to my routine. Like, uh, if I'm saying like from 19 to 20, I didn't get to read a lot, but from 20 to 21, I'm really starting to get the loop of things and how to fit reading into my schedule. Like, really taking care of those bored moments where you're at the bus or the metro station, or really just laying around in your bedroom watching your 1,000th short, YouTube short. Then maybe it's time to turn off your cell phone and just get some reading in. And I've proudly read 6 books this year already. Is it a lot? Not really. I do intend to read 12 books this year. Is that possible? I don't know. Like, I feel like it's possible. Of course, I'm taking some pretty light reads in this moment, but I did enjoy some of the readings that I got. I guess I enjoyed like 99% of them. Um, I'm not gonna talk about all the books, just this one, which was the last one that I finished. That's The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. If you're from the U.S. or if you're any familiar with English literature, you probably know this book or maybe has watched the film. But well, that was the last book that I read. Right now, I'm rereading The Stranger by Albert Camus. One of the best books that I've ever read. Like, it's one of my favorites, really. But anyways, I also read some of the Russians this year, and it's something that I think has never changed, really. Like, getting the um, the profile of the books that I've read in the past year, or maybe past 3 years. Like, you can most definitely understand that my taste in literature has not changed at all. Like, I still like pretty morbid stuff of people just reminiscing of their life and just saying their lives were shit, or maybe just saying that things are really meaningless. I do enjoy a lot of Albert Camus' work. I've read most of his works, and I think he's an awesome writer. I tend to replicate some of his writings into my personal life, which is not really healthy because I think Camus was really simplistic, and most of my writings require more details. Um, I've also gone a bit far into buying all of Hunter S. Thompson's writings in my language, because there are some that I didn't get to have translated, and to import those books to my country is quite expensive. Those would be House Angels and like other diary works of his, and I would also like to have his biography written by his son, which I think would be like an awesome read. Like, I tried finding a PDF for it to, read it in my Kindle, and I couldn't find it. And, well, I am still working on it. But, well, Hunter S. Thompson is probably my favorite writer at this moment. At 20 years of age, and probably at 21, he is my favorite writer. From 19 to 20, I guess from 17 to 20, my favorite author was Albert Camus. Like, by far, I read all of his works in this meantime, and right now I'm reading all of Hunter S. Thompson's writings, and I find it to be really interesting the way that things change. But my favorite book from this time, from 17 years of age to 20 years of age, and probably 21, like most definitely 21, has not changed. My favorite book is still The Witherings of Worte. Is that is that the the correct term for it? I don't think so. It's just Wörter, really. Like Wörter from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. My pronunciation, my my German pronunciation is as bad as it can be, but really, like Wörter is an awesome work. My favorite book by far. Like since my first read of this one, I have read this religiously every single year. I take December to only read, this book and just get the works and the passion in my veins. I do love a lot of the first um, romantics movement. I do love this part. The second one in my country was really preeminent as well. Like has some pretty good talents. Do I like Mary Shelley? Not really. Has have um, read some of her works, but anyways. Just a second. Answering my mom as I was speaking. Okay. So other than that, I guess one of the biggest things that has changed in my life is my appearance for sure. Like if you take my if you take photos for myself, like when I was 16, 17, like I don't think you would recognize me really. Like maybe you would. Like I do look pretty different from that time, mentally and physically. So if you were to have a conversation with me, like a blinded conversation, you wouldn't know who am I. Like if you had contact with me at that time and right now, like you wouldn't know me. You wouldn't recognize me. And if I were to just keep my mouth shut and just have someone to look at me from a distance, maybe they wouldn't recognize me. What I'm saying is most of my basic features are still here, but the way some of my features are perceived here, like at this time, they're completely different, really. So yeah, um, do I have anything else to add to this video? Yes, I do. My battle with depression has gone upwards and down, and upwards and down, and upwards and down in this time. Like, when I was from 14 to 17, like, my life was a mess. I was dealing with a lot mentally. And if I'm not, like, I'm not trying to demonize that time in any sort. Like, I'm not trying to say those were the hardest years of my life. I think the hardest years of my life are yet to come. Is that a pessimistic thing to say? Not really. I think the size of your problems really depend on what age you are. And for the person that was suffering from that, those problems were really huge. But if I look back right now at this stage of life that I am, Like, those weren't that big of a deal, really. Like, and I think I could have dealt with some things better. And that's with maturity. That's with, being 21 just made me so much more mature about a lot of topics, and just prepared myself to the problems that I'm dealing with right now. Um, I don't want to go into that much detail because I think I've done that in the past. But I still do have some huge issues, and some other ones that came before that, that have pretty much affected me mentally, like, and physically, like, um, so, but I think that I am dealing better with these issues than I would ever if I was like dealing with this if I was like 60. Like at almost 21, I am dealing with my problems in a more mature way, in like a more, like, in a different way that I would if I was younger. So I think that's the hugest difference that I can assure you guys that happened. So yeah, talking to a camera for almost 30 minutes makes me proud, especially because I'm talking in English. And I guess when I exercise it, like, my accent just becomes a little better. Alright? Like, it got a little better, right? I think things become more fluid and you just get used to the situation. I don't know what's with this channel and why do I have the urge to record at such remote times, but and I don't expect to record any video any sooner, but maybe I will prepare something in the near future. But I guess I just promised way too much in this channel, so um, probably no one's gonna watch it. Probably, but this is more of a diary. This has more to do with me than with y'all. Like, I am proud of myself and I am proud to what I've become, and I can't wait for the next challenges that I'm gonna go through at 21. Like, I'm really proud of myself and I'm really grateful for what led me into here. So yeah, I guess that's the message that I wanted to leave with in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys sooner rather than later. Bye bye.